Hey guys, Ray from loveyourrv.com. So I'm back with part 2 of my roof installation with the SuperFlex material from Alpha Systems. Now if you missed part 1, I'll link back to it for you. But in part 2, I'm actually going to start laying down the roofing and put everything back together and reseal everything. Part 1, I took it all apart. There was one thing that I didn't include in part 1, and that's the inner part, taking the roof material off on the very inside of the slide. So maybe we'll just go to that and I'll show you what went on in there. So in part 1 we did all the outside and I got rid of the roofing material and all the flashing off the outside, but I didn't show you this inside part here. I had just cut this with a knife, the roofing. So I've drawn the slide in just about a foot here, and you can see how they've attached it. They have this piece of flashing here all screwed into the decking. Looks like they've sealed it. And this is what kind of keeps the rain out when the slide's out. It has an outer seal right here. That's the rubber flap you always see. Then it also has this, which water would come in and would be channeled down to the ends and kind of go down and out a gutter. And then they also have a seal here on the inside, a big white rubber seal. So before I can put on the new roof, I got to take this flashing, unscrew all this flashing, and take all this apart, clean it all up. See, at the end there's a little corner piece here to take off. That lets you take the top flashing. You can see, like I said, if the water comes in and hits that, it gets channeled so it can't come in the rig. Then it drops down, and then down at the bottom of the slide there's like a little gutter to direct it out. So if you're having leaking in from the top of your slide, you can check those different seals. Okay, I got the flashing off. So you can see they use some sealant along the edge here, so I had to take a sharp knife and cut through that. Then I could pry up the flashing off of. They have some butyl tape down here. Looks like, yeah, on the back here there's some butyl tape. It was a bit sticky, so it took a little bit of wrangling to get it off, but I got her off now, so I can finish peeling off the roof, the old rubber roof, and clean up this flashing, and we're going to be ready to start installing all the new product. Okay, so let's get a look at what I'm going to need to do. First, I'm going to go and lay the material on top of the roof and cut it to size, leaving a little bit of an overhang. Then underneath, I'm going to put down this acrylic water-based adhesive. It's an 80-10, and spread it around. Pick myself up a couple of rollers to do that. And then once the material's laid down, you need to smooth it out. So they say to use some type of squeegee. I picked this up because it won't mark the roof, but it'll give me enough force to push out any bubbles or rolls in the roof. Then once it's all glued down in place, we'll start putting the flashing back. I got butyl tape down here for between the flashing and the roof. I also have some lap sealant, self-leveling sealant for around the top seams. And on the sidewalls I have vertical or sloping application sealant. Both are Alpha Systems. I also bought myself an electric staple gun. I have the hand ones, but I'm going to be doing a lot of stapling where I'm going to staple the new roofing around the side. So I picked up some staples. Just a cheap staple gun, just kind of saved my hands. Got some new screws. Also, I'm going to reuse, I had put in some screws on the top decking. These are stainless, nice screws, but they were a countersunk head, so they did stick up a bit. So before I put the flashing back, I'm going to drill out some countersunked holes for them so it'll sit flush. So let's get up there and I'll show you what I've done so far. Great day today. Had a really good string of weather here. We're in mid-April and we're getting up to 20 degrees Celsius, around 68 Fahrenheit. Just absolutely gorgeous. Great spring so far. Perfect for this, nice and dry. About 5 to 7 days of pure sunshine. So I've already laid it out and I've tucked it inside underneath here, and then I brought the slide back out just to kind of hold it inside. So my plan is to roll this back up about here, then lay down all the glue, then bring it back, spread it all out, and do the outside here, staple it all in place so that all the outside will be glued down and fixed against the walls. And then I can bring the slide in, you know, 6 inches or a foot, and finish the job on the inside there. So here it is, all prepped, flashing removed. Took off all the old sealant as much as possible. Most of it came off pretty easy, but some of that silicone likes to stick around on the sides. Also, I did have some of that Eternabond tape in places, so that was a little bit of a pain to get off some of the flashing, but you can do it with a heat gun. Then you just have some of the gray stuff left. But I found 2 things that really helped me for the silicone and the Eternabond sealant was mineral spirits. It really softened it up, made it easier to come off. And then for a final cleanup, this LA's Totally Awesome is just a great cleaner for all sorts of things. Really good at removing all kinds of old black streaks and oil, that type of stuff. So those 2 cleaners really helped me. Let's go up and give you a look at the roof all prepped. There we go. So in the instructions, they wanted you to put some duct tape around any of the sharp corners. So just all around the edging there. And you can see here where I said I was going to put some epoxy resin. Just this one corner that had a little bit of evidence of some water. It kind of stained the wood a little bit. So I just did that corner, some epoxy resin to help waterproof it a bit more. And then down there, that's that seam. I added a few more layers of tape. The seam between the 8-foot and the 4-foot board, it's always been a little low, and I find I sometimes get a little puddle of water there, so I just added a few more layers of duct tape to try to raise it up a bit. So next thing is to put glue all over the decking here, and then I can roll the new SuperFlex roof on it and start getting the bubbles and creases out of it. And then what I'll have to do is pull it tight and then staple it. You can see where it staples in along here. So we pull it over. Some of these holes is where the old roof staple was. So that's why I got the staple gun to do that. inside all glued down. Just can like force out any seams or bubbles here. I put some staples down along here to hold it in place. I'm going to go do the outside flashing first, and then I'll come back and finish the inside flashing last. But it's getting there, looking good. First I'm going to reinstall the top flashing, so I'm just prepping it on the ground. This is the butyl tape they gave me, the West Systems butyl tape. Pressed it against, peeled it off, so it's ready to go. On the top part here, you can see I have some leftover Turnabond tape. Rather than clean that off, I'm just going to leave it because I plan to put a strip of tape, sealant tape, on that seam again. I kind of like that. After I put in their sealant, I'm going to put an extra layer, a third layer of sealant, the tape. So they do have a roof patch tape, so I'm going to try to get a hold of some of that and use it so we can kind of compare it to what I've used traditionally, which is the Turnabond tape. Anyway, I'm going to get up there and put in all the stainless screws I have for that piece of flashing on the top deck. Well, I had a little change of mind about doing the top flashing first because there's no holes up there anymore. It'd be hard to line it up. At least I have the old holes here so I can line up both sides. Then at least I'll make sure I get the top one in right so that they kind of form an angle up there. So you want them tight at the top. Then on this corner, this was the corner where a little bit of water intrusion had happened. Kind of peeled it back and had a peek in there, and past the metal beam there's insulation, and all the insulation, that fiberglass insulation, was all fine. No evidence that it got in that far. So kind of just wetted down this corner, let it dry really good, and some of the staples had kind of rusted, so I just put in some flathead screws and kind of screwed it back into the beam. I think she should be okay. I actually have plans to pull this window out, one of my projects on the list, and redo the butyl tape. It's getting really dry. All the windows are, they're kind of on my list, but this one, being that all the water pours off the slide there, I want to make sure this one is really sealed, so I think that'll be the first one I do. And it's nice and small, so I'll be able to figure out how everything works, pulling the window out and resealing it before I do something like this huge back window. So stay tuned for that in the future. So I'll put this other edge on, and then we'll get the main edge on the roof. So I added this self-leveling lap sealant along that edge and covered all the screws with it. Now I got to do the sidewalls. I also added some Turnabond tape. I don't have any of the Alpha Systems tape. Maybe I'll get some of that and try it, but I usually like to put some on the edges here, mainly because my ladder, I don't really trust going up and down this rickety ladder anymore. The end caps are plastic. So I like to take my ladder and I like to put it against the slide, and that way I can easily climb up and get on the slide and then on the main roof. So that I don't damage the roofing. I did this to my last roof as well. I just put some of that roofing tape on the corner just to protect the underlying roof. It also helps give it a seal along that edge too. So anyway, next I want to get rid of all this excess butyl tape that's squeezed out. So I'll just go along with my hive tool and get rid of any extra there. Pull it off so that I can have a nice clean seam to do. So to finish the job off, I've gone back inside, pulled the slide in a bit, and put back this flashing. Underneath it is the butyl tape, and then finished it off with some silicone on the outer seal there. Just keep all the water out of it. Well, I'll give you a look at basically the final complete version. A few bits and pieces to tidy up, but not much left. I've gone along and did all the seams here with that non-sag sealant for vertical. It was actually pretty easy to put on, so we'll see how long it lasts, because it seems like pretty good stuff. Let me get up there and give you a look at the roof. Nice and white. Everything's still drying. It's a little bit tacky right now, but looks like it's turning out pretty good there. Give you a look at the comparison with my other roof. As you can see, this isn't in terrible shape yet, so I think I still have a few more years. I may do a coating on it at some point. There's the color difference. Give you a quick look at the difference between the two materials. This is what was up there. It's called, I think, EPDM. It's a synthetic rubber, and you can see it's black. And then on the top there's a coating, and this coating over the years will flake off, and you'll get streaks coming down the side of the RV. If you go up there and kneel on it, you'll get white knees, which is totally natural for that product to do it. And you can see the thickness there. Then this is the SuperFlex material, so it's about half as thick, and it's actually white throughout. I think this is what they call a TPO material. So you can see the top actually is textured too, and give you better traction on the roof. They say it's just as strong, and it's quite flexible material, so we'll see how it goes on the slide there. I'll use it, you know, for a good 6 months or a year and come back and let you know how it's performed. Anyway, it's good to have that roof done and all the slide flashing resealed. If you have any questions or anything, just leave a comment. Also, I'll leave links to the products that I used and the tools. Till next time, Ray from LoveYouRV.com. Thanks for watching, folks. Cheers, everyone. A little blackbird here making a racket.